The medical bay aboard the Celestial Harmony hummed with the quiet efficiency of advanced technology. Dr. Jiwon Park stood at her workstation, reviewing the daily health reports from the ship's diverse crew. Outside the viewport, the border world of Threshold 7 rotated slowly, a brown and green marble against the black canvas of space. Jiwon had been working on the multi-species research vessel for 8 months now. She had learned to treat 17 different alien physiologies, memorized 43 sets of medical protocols, and mastered basic phrases in 12 languages. It was exhausting work, but she loved it. Every day brought new challenges, new discoveries, new opportunities to help. The emergency alarm shattered the peaceful moment. Jiwon's communication device buzzed urgently. Ambassador Hyun's voice crackled through, tense and worried. "Jiwon, we need you in the diplomatic quarters immediately. It's a Krell child. Respiratory distress. They're refusing treatment from their own medical staff." Jiwon grabbed her emergency medical kit and ran. The Krell were one of the most difficult species aboard the ship. They were large, reptilian, and intensely proud. Their homeworld was a harsh desert planet where only the strongest survived. They viewed compassion as weakness and believed suffering built character. Most of the crew gave them a wide berth. When Jiwon arrived at the diplomatic quarters, she found a cluster of Krell adults standing in a tight circle. They were massive beings, nearly 7 feet tall, with scaled skin that reflected the harsh lights. Their eyes were cold and calculating, like ancient predators evaluating prey. Ambassador Vorsh, the lead Krell representative, turned to face her. His expression was unreadable, but his body language radiated hostility. "The HumanDoctor," he said, his voice like gravel scraping metal. "We did not request human intervention." Ambassador Hyun stepped forward, his diplomatic training evident in every measured word. "Ambassador Vorsh, your medical staff cannot stabilize the child. Dr. Park is our best xenobiologist. She has experience with similar respiratory conditions." Vorsh's scales rippled with what might have been anger or shame. "Our young one is weak. This is nature's judgment." Jiwon felt her professional calm slip for just a moment. "With respect, Ambassador, that child is struggling to breathe. Nature's judgment can wait until after I've examined them." The Krell adults shifted, surprised by her directness. Humans were supposed to be timid prey species, easily intimidated. This small human with her steady gaze and firm voice did not match their expectations. Vorsh considered for a long moment, then stepped aside. "You may look. But if the young one rejects treatment, we will not force it." Jiwon moved into the chamber. The Krell cub lay on a low platform, struggling for each breath. The child was about the size of a human 10-year-old, covered in softer scales that would harden with age. Fever made the scales dull and dry. The cub's eyes were glazed with pain and fear. Jiwon approached slowly, speaking in the Krell language. She had been studying it for months, preparing for exactly this kind of situation. Her accent was terrible, but the effort mattered. "Little one, my name is Jiwon. I am a healer. I want to help you feel better." The cub's eyes focused on her. In their fevered state, they might have seen a threat. Jiwon pulled out her medical scanner, a small device that looked vaguely weapon-like. She needed to check the cub's vital signs, understand what was causing the respiratory distress. She moved closer. The cub's breathing became more rapid, more panicked. Jiwon kept her voice soft and steady, narrating every movement. "This device will not hurt you. It will help me understand what is making you sick, see? I will use it on myself first." She scanned her own arm, showing the harmless blue light. The cub seemed to relax slightly. Jiwon reached out carefully, intending to place the scanner near the cub's chest. The attack came without warning. The cub lunged forward, mouth open, fangs extended. Those fangs, even on a juvenile, were 3 inches long and razor-sharp. They sank deep into Jiwon's forearm, punching through skin and muscle. Pain exploded through her arm. She heard Ambassador Hyun shout, heard the Krell adults moving to restrain their young. But Jiwon remained perfectly still. She did not pull away. She did not cry out. She simply held her position, letting the cub maintain their grip. Through the haze of pain, her medical training took over. She looked at the cub's mouth where it connected with her arm. Something was wrong with the bite pattern. The cub was crying, tears streaming down their scaled face even as they held on desperately. With her free hand, Jiwon slowly reached for her medical scanner. Every movement was careful, non-threatening. The cub watched her with wide, terrified eyes but did not release their grip. "It's okay, little one," Jiwon whispered. "I know you are scared. I know you are hurting. Let me help. She activated the scanner and angled it toward the cub's mouth. The holographic display showed her what she suspected. One of the cub's primary fangs was cracked nearly in half. The infection had spread into the tooth's root canal, causing excruciating pain. Every breath, every movement of the jaw sent agony through the child's head. Your fang is broken, Jiwan said softly. That must hurt so much. No wonder you're frightened. She reached into her medical kit with her free hand, moving slowly and deliberately. The Krell adults watched in stunned silence. They expected the human to demand release, to call for security, to show the pain and fear they believed all prey species harbored. Instead, Jiwan extracted a small injector. She loaded it with a local anesthetic suitable for Krell physiology. Then, carefully, she administered the injection directly into the gum around the broken fang. The cub's eyes widened as the pain medication took effect. The desperate, panicked quality of their grip softened. Slowly, carefully, Jiwan freed her arm from the cub's mouth. Blood dripped steadily from the deep puncture wounds. The toxins in Krell saliva made the wounds burn like fire. But Jiwan did not look at her arm. Instead, she gently cupped the cub's face and examined the broken fang more closely. We will fix this, she promised. First the fang, then the fever. You will feel better soon. She cleaned the cub's mouth carefully, removing traces of her own blood. She applied antiseptic to the broken fang and administered antibiotics for the infection that was causing the fever. She spoke continuously in her broken Krell, explaining each step, keeping her voice calm and reassuring. Only after the cub was resting comfortably, breathing easier, did Jiwan finally turn her attention to her own arm. The wounds were deep, bleeding freely and already showing signs of toxic reaction. She cleaned them efficiently, applied synthetic skin to seal the worst of the damage, and injected herself with anti-venom. Ambassador Vorsh stood frozen, his entire understanding of the universe tilting on its axis. Why? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Why did you tend to the one who harmed you before yourself? Jiwan looked at him, genuinely confused by the question. To her, the answer was so obvious it barely needed stating. The child was in pain, she said simply. The broken fang was causing agony. My wounds could wait. The child's pain could not. She gathered her medical supplies, preparing to leave. The cub had fallen into a healing sleep, breathing easily now that the pain and fever were managed. I will return in 4 hours to check on the little one. The antibiotics should have the infection under control by then. The fang will need more extensive treatment, but that can wait until they are stronger. Jiwan walked toward the door, cradling her injured arm. Ambassador Hyon moved to support her, but she waved him off with a tired smile. I am fine. Just another day in xenomedicine. Behind her, Ambassador Vorsh continued to stare at the sleeping cub, then at the blood-stained floor, then at the door where the HumanDocto had disappeared. His worldview, built on millennia of Krell philosophy about strength and dominance, had just encountered something it could not explain. A prey species had allowed a predator to bite her. She had not fought back. She had not fled. She had administered medical care to her attacker before treating her own life-threatening wounds, and she had acted as if this was the only logical choice. Vorsh opened a communication channel to the Krell High Council. They needed to know about this. The humans were not what they seemed. They were not weak prey species that had stumbled into space travel through luck. They were something far more dangerous. They were something the galaxy had never encountered before. They were a species that weaponized compassion. 2 weeks after the incident, Counselor Minho stood before the Galactic Council in the Great Chamber on Threshold Station. The room was designed to accommodate hundreds of different species, with varied atmospheres, gravity zones, and communication systems. Above him, the holographic displays showed representatives from 47 different civilizations, all waiting for answers. The video footage had spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Every major news network had broadcast it. Every social media platform had shared it. Every government had analyzed it. The image of Dr. Jiwan Park allowing a Krell cub to bite her while she calmly treated its broken fang had become the most viewed piece of media in galactic history, and nobody understood it. Counselor Minho cleared his throat. He had been a diplomat for 30 years, had negotiated trade agreements with insectoid hive minds and territorial disputes with crystalline intelligences. But this was different. This was harder. He had to explain humanity to beings who had no context for human behavior. The Hive Queen Talix spoke first. Her voice came through the translator as a series of precise clicks and buzzes. She was an insectoid species, a creature of pure logic where every individual existed to serve the collective good. "Counselor Minho," she said, "we have reviewed the footage extensively. Our analysis suggests Dr. Park was malfunctioning. A rational being prioritizes self-preservation above all else. Her behavior indicates a broken decision-making process. Is this common among humans? Are many of your species defective in this way?" Minho suppressed a sigh. He had expected this question. Dr. Park was not malfunctioning, Your Majesty. She was acting according to human medical ethics and natural instinct. Humans have a strong protective response toward children, even children of other species. The Lumina representative, a being of crystalline structure that communicated through light pulses, flashed a question. The translator interpreted, "This is illogical. The offspring was not genetically related to her. It posed a physical threat. By all evolutionary models, she should have defended herself or fled. Her choice serves no survival purpose." "On the contrary," Minho replied, "it serves our most fundamental survival purpose. Humans evolved as social creatures. We survived not by being the strongest or fastest, but by working together. Our instinct to protect the vulnerable, especially children, is core to our nature." Ambassador Vorsh, attending the session via hologram, spoke for the first time. The Krell leader's voice carried a weight it had not possessed before. "I witnessed this event personally," Vorsh said. The HumanDocto showed no hesitation, no calculation, no fear. She saw a child in pain and could not act otherwise. This was not a choice for her. It was as instinctive as breathing. The chamber fell silent. Coming from a Krell, this admission was extraordinary. The Delphini representative, an aquatic species that valued individual excellence, rippled with confusion. "But this makes no sense from a survival standpoint. On our world, the weak are left behind. Only the strong reach maturity. This ensures the species thrives. If humans protect the weak, how did you survive?" Minho smiled. This was the question he had been waiting for. "You are asking the wrong question," he said. "You ask how we survived despite protecting the weak. The truth is, we survived because we protected the weak. Let me tell you about human history." He activated a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, showing human civilization across thousands of years. My people evolved on a planet full of predators stronger, faster, and better armed than us. We were prey. We should have gone extinct. But we did not. Do you know why? The council waited. We took care of each other. When one human was injured, others carried them. When one was sick, others fed them. When one was too young or too old to hunt, others provided for them. We did not leave anyone behind. And because we all survived, we all contributed. The person we saved today might save us tomorrow. The child we protected grew up to have ideas that benefited everyone. He pulled up more images. Humans forming chains to rescue drowning victims. Humans running into burning buildings to save strangers. Humans sharing food during famines. This is not unique to modern humans, Minho continued. We have found ancient skeletons of humans who were severely disabled, yet lived for decades. They could not hunt or gather. They could not defend themselves. But they lived because their community cared for them. This is who we are. This is who we have always been. The Hive Queen processed this information. But surely there is a limit. Surely you only protect your own kin, your own tribe. Minho shook his head. No, Your Majesty. We protect children, all children. There are documented cases of humans risking their lives to save the offspring of their enemies. There are humans who have died protecting the young of completely different species. He paused, making sure he had everyone's attention. On Earth, we have a species called dogs. They were once wolves, apex predators that hunted humans. But thousands of years ago, some humans found wolf puppies. The logical action would be to kill them, to eliminate future threats. Instead, we fed them. We cared for them. We adopted our predators as our family. And those wolves became dogs, our most loyal companions. We literally befriended the creatures that hunted us. The council chamber erupted in confused debate. The translator system struggled to keep up with dozens of languages being spoken simultaneously. A new voice cut through the chaos. It was small and young, speaking in halting but clear Galactic Common. "May I speak?" The chamber fell silent. On one of the viewing screens, a young Krell appeared. It was the cub from the video, now recovered and healthy. Forsh looked surprised. Kresh, this is not appropriate. The council is in session. Please, honored father, the cub said, using the formal Krell address. I must speak. Counselor Minho smiled. The council recognizes Kresh of the Krell. The young Krell stood straighter, trying to look dignified despite obvious nervousness. I was the one who bit Dr. Park, Kresh said. I was sick and scared and in so much pain. When she came close, I thought she would hurt me more. So I bit her. I bit her hard. I tasted her blood. I felt her bones between my teeth. The young voice wavered slightly, but she did not hit me. She did not push me away. She did not even make a sound of pain. Instead, she looked at my mouth and said my fang was broken. She said it must hurt. And then she made the pain stop. Kresh's voice grew stronger. I hurt her and she healed me. This is not weakness. This is something we Krell do not have a word for, but the humans call it compassion. And I think it is the most powerful thing I have ever seen. The young Krell looked directly at the camera. Dr. Park could have let me suffer. She could have demanded the adults restrain me before she helped. She could have treated herself first. But she saw a child in pain and nothing else mattered. Not her safety. Not her pain. Not even her life. Kresh's next words silenced the entire council. If that is what humans call weakness, then I want to be weak like them. The transmission ended. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, the Hive Queen spoke again. We have sent anthropologists to study Earth. They are reviewing your history, your culture, your evolution. We need to understand this phenomenon. Logically, your species should not exist. Your survival instincts are inverted. You run toward danger instead of away from it. You sacrifice the strong for the weak. You prioritize others over yourselves. She paused, and when she spoke again, her tone had changed. Yet you did not just survive. You thrived. You dominate your planet. You reached space faster than most species. Your technology advances rapidly. Your culture is cohesive. By all measures, you are successful. Minho nodded. Because compassion is not weakness, Your Majesty. It is our strength. When we take care of each other, we all become stronger. When we protect everyone, we waste no potential. When we believe everyone matters, everyone contributes. The Lumina representative flashed another question. But this makes you vulnerable to exploitation. Any species could pretend to be in distress and ambush you. Yes, Minho agreed calmly. We know it has happened before. We have been betrayed. We have been attacked by those we tried to help. We have lost people because they trusted when they should not have. Then why continue? The Lumina demanded. Why not learn from these failures? Minho's answer was simple and absolute. Because the moment we stop helping those in need, the moment we calculate whether someone deserves our compassion, we stop being human, and we would rather die as humans than survive as something else. The council chamber fell silent again. This time the silence was different. It was not confusion. It was understanding beginning to dawn. Somewhere in the galaxy, on dozens of worlds, young beings watched the broadcast. They heard the human counselor's words. They saw the video of Dr. Park healing the child who hurt her. They thought about their own societies, their own values, their own choices, and they began to wonder if there might be a better way. The galaxy was changing, and it started with one human doctor who cleaned a predator's fangs before her own wounds. 4 months had passed since the incident, and the Earth Cultural Exchange Center in Seoul was busier than it had ever been. Researcher Yoonji walked through the crowded halls, marveling at the diversity of alien species that had come to study humanity. There were Krell warriors learning about human conflict resolution, insectoid scholars attending lectures on individual rights, crystalline beings studying human art and emotion, aquatic species learning about human family structures. The center had been built to house maybe 50 alien visitors. They currently had 300, with more arriving every day. Yoonji's specialty was human sociology, and she had been assigned to teach a course called Understanding Human Compassion. She had expected maybe a dozen students. She had 247. Today's lecture was being broadcast to 17 different worlds. She stood at the podium, looking out at the sea of alien faces. Some were vaguely humanoid. Others were so alien she still struggled to read their body language. But all of them had come for the same reason. They wanted to understand what made humans different. "Good morning," she said. Her words translated instantly into dozens of languages. "Today we will discuss the human concept of heroism. A Krell warrior in the front row raised a clawed hand. We have this concept too. A hero is one who defeats enemies, who shows superior strength, who dominates challenges. Yunji smiled. That is one definition. But humans define heroes differently. Let me show you something. She pulled up a video. It showed a human running into a burning building. The structure was collapsing. The heat was intense. Emergency responders were pulling back, declaring it too dangerous. But one person ran inside. This is firefighter Junho Kim, Yunji narrated. He entered this building knowing he might not come out. Inside were 3 children trapped on the upper floor. He rescued 2 of them. On his 3rd trip, the building collapsed. He did not survive. The alien students watched in silence. We call him a hero, Yunji said softly. Not because he won. He lost, he died. We call him a hero because he gave his life trying to save others. An insectoid student spoke up. But he failed to save 1 child. And he destroyed a valuable member of your society. By any logical measure, this is a terrible outcome. Yes, Yunji agreed. By logical measure, it is terrible. But humans do not measure heroism by logic. We measure it by intent, by sacrifice, by the willingness to put others first. Junho died trying to save children who were not his own. He had no connection to them. He could have stayed safe. He chose otherwise. She pulled up more videos. A woman forming a human chain in a flood to rescue strangers. A man diving into icy water to save a drowning dog. A teenager shielding younger children during a shooting. We celebrate these people, Yunji said. We tell their stories. We teach our children about them. We want our young to grow up believing that sacrificing for others is the highest calling. A crystalline student flashed a question. But this encourages self-destructive behavior. You are teaching your offspring to die for strangers. We are teaching them that some things are more important than survival, Yunji corrected. We are teaching them that a life spent protecting others has meaning. That dying to save someone else is not a waste. It is a choice we honor. The room fell into uncomfortable silence. Many of these species had built civilizations on opposite principles. The strong survived. The weak did not. Resources went to those who contributed most. Sacrifice was illogical. Later that day, Yunji met with Commander Dakir in a private consultation room. The Krell military officer had been on Earth for 2 months, and the experience was clearly affecting him. I do not understand your people, Dakir said bluntly. I have watched your soldiers train. They learn combat, yes, but they also learn medicine. Every warrior is taught to save lives, not just take them. Of course, Yunji replied. In battle, people get hurt. Our soldiers need to help the wounded. But you train them to help enemy wounded, Dakir pressed. I watched a training exercise. Your soldiers practiced treating injuries on captured enemy combatants. They were taught to give medical care to those who just tried to kill them. This is madness. Yunji poured tea for both of them, a ritual she had learned calmed many species. Commander, let me ask you something. If you were wounded in battle, and a human soldier found you, what do you think would happen? Dakir considered. Based on what I have learned, they would treat my injuries, even knowing I am their enemy. Yes, and then what? They would take me prisoner. Give me medical care, feed me. Treat me according to your rules of warfare, which forbid torture and require humane treatment. Exactly. And if we treated you with respect, with dignity, with compassion, even though you were our enemy, what might you think? Dakir was silent for a long moment. I might think, humans are not what I was taught. I might question whether fighting them is justified. I might consider that a species which treats even enemies with kindness might not be evil. Now you understand, Yunji said gently. We do not treat enemies with compassion because we are weak. We do it because we want them to stop being enemies. We believe people can change. We believe that showing kindness to someone might change their mind. It does not always work, but it works often enough that we keep trying. Dakir's scales rippled with what Yunji had learned to recognize as distress. My species has fought wars for thousands of years, he said quietly. We have codes of honor, but they are based on strength. The defeated are enslaved or killed. We never thought about turning enemies into friends. It is not easy, Yunji admitted. Sometimes people hurt us and we help them and they hurt us again. Sometimes we extend trust and it is betrayed. Sometimes we die trying to save people who want us dead, but enough times it works. Enough times the enemy we spare today becomes the ally we need tomorrow. She pulled up historical records on her tablet. After World War II, A massive conflict on Earth. My people had a choice. The nations that lost were devastated. We could have destroyed them completely. Instead, we helped them rebuild. We gave them resources. We shared technology. We treated them as future friends rather than eternal enemies. She showed him images of reconstruction, of former enemies working together, of reconciliation. Those nations are now our closest allies. The people who bombed our cities now trade with us, create art with us, explore space with us, because we chose to help them rather than punish them. Dakir stared at the images. This should not work. By every logical principle, this should not work. They should have seen your kindness as weakness and attacked again. Some did, Yunji said honestly. Not every attempt at reconciliation succeeds. Not every extended hand is accepted, but we keep extending it. Because we believe in the possibility of change. We believe that people given a chance will usually choose cooperation over conflict. A young Krell entered the room, and Dakir stood immediately. It was Kresh, who now spent half his time with humans and half with his Krell family. Commander Dakir, Kresh said formally. I hope I am not interrupting. Not at all, young one, Dakir replied. Then he looked at Yunji. I have watched Kresh change over these months. He is gentler now. He shows concern for others. He asks if I am well when we meet. These are not Krell behaviors, but he is also more confident, more secure. He smiles. He is learning that strength and kindness are not opposites, Yunji said. He can be both fierce and gentle, both strong and caring. Kresh moved closer. Commander, may I ask you something? When you fight humans in training exercises, do you hold back? Dakir looked confused. Of course not. That would be insulting. But humans always hold back when fighting me, Kresh said. They never hurt me even when I deserve correction. Dr. Park says it is because I am a child and children should be protected while they learn. Is this not also true for adults? Are we not all learning? The young Krell's words struck Dakir like a physical blow. He had never considered this perspective. In Krell culture, adults were expected to be perfect. Mistakes were punished. Weakness was not tolerated, but humans treated everyone as if they were still learning. As if mistakes were opportunities for growth rather than evidence of failure. As if every being deserved patience and second chances. You are wise beyond your years. Kresh, Dakir said finally. Later, as Dakir walked through Seoul's streets, he watched humans going about their daily lives, parents holding children's hands, strangers helping an elderly person across the street, someone stopping to pet a stray animal. Small acts of kindness repeated millions of times every day, not calculated, not strategic, just humans being human. He saw a young child fall and scrape their knee. Immediately, 3 adults rushed over. None of them knew the child. They just saw someone hurt and could not walk past. Dakir returned to his quarters and composed a message to the Krell High Council. It was the most difficult thing he had ever written. I have observed humans for months, he wrote. I have studied their culture, their history, their instincts, and I must report something that challenges everything we believe. He paused, gathering courage. Encountered, not because of their weapons or their technology, but because they can turn enemies into friends. They can make you care about them even when you want to hate them. They can show you a better way to live, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. He finished the message. The distress signal came through at 0347 hours, Galactic Standard Time. Captain Minji was halfway through her sleep cycle when the alarms woke her. She was on the bridge of the bright harbor within 90 seconds, still pulling on her uniform jacket. Report, she ordered. Her communications officer, a young man named Tae-woo, looked grim. Colony ship Wanderer's Hope has suffered catastrophic system failure. They are 47 minutes from total life support collapse. Crew and passengers total 412 individuals, mixed species. Krell military response vessels are 7 hours away. Minji looked at the tactical display. The Wanderer's Hope was breaking apart. Debris surrounded it like a deadly cloud. Approach would be dangerous, possibly suicidal. Her ship was a light transport, not designed for heavy rescue operations. How far are we? She asked. 38 minutes at maximum speed. Minji did not hesitate. All hands to rescue stations. Helm, plot the fastest safe course. Tae-woo, inform the Galactic Council we are responding. Her first officer touched her arm. Captain, Council regulations say we should wait for properly equipped vessels. We do not have the right equipment for this kind of rescue. And there are Krell civilians aboard. If we fail, if they die because we tried to help with inadequate resources, it could cause a diplomatic incident. Minji looked at him steadily. Those people will be dead in less than an hour. We are here now. We go. Across the galaxy, in the Galactic Council chambers, officials watched in real time as the human ship accelerated toward the disaster. Many species had vessels closer, better equipped, more capable, but they were calculating risk-benefit ratios, filing proper paperwork, waiting for authorization. The humans just went. Counselor Minho stood before the council display, watching the rescue unfold. He said nothing. There was nothing to say. This was what humans did. On the bright harbor, Captain Minji coordinated her crew with calm efficiency. Tae-woo, you will lead the engineering team to stabilize their power systems. I know you have issues with confined spaces. Can you do this? Tae-woo's face was pale, but his voice was steady. There are children on that ship, Captain. I will do what needs to be done. The bright harbor approached through the debris field. Chunks of hull plating bounced off their shields. Warning alarms screamed constantly. Minji ignored them all, focused on the dying ship ahead. They docked with a shuddering impact. The seal was imperfect, but it would hold. Minji opened the hatches. Rescue teams go. Priority is children and injured. Move everyone you can to our ship. We do not leave anyone behind. The crew poured into the Wanderer's Hope. The scene inside was chaos. Emergency lights flickered. Atmosphere was thin and getting thinner. People of a dozen different species huddled in corners, some unconscious, some crying, all terrified. The human rescuers moved with purpose. They had trained for this, drilled until these actions were automatic, but training could not fully prepare them for the reality. Tae-woo crawled through the maintenance shaft toward the power core. The space was barely wide enough for his body. Pipes and cables pressed against him from all sides. He could not turn around. He could barely breathe. His heart hammered with panic, but he kept moving forward. Talk to me, Tae-woo. Captain Minji's voice came through his earpiece. How are you doing? Terrified, he admitted. His voice shook. Captain, there are Krell cubs in the passenger section. I can hear them crying. They are scared. I need to keep moving. For them, you are doing great. Keep going. Almost there. Tae-woo reached the power junction. His hands trembled as he worked to reroute the failing systems. Each breath was harder than the last. The shaft seemed to be getting smaller, pressing in on him. He thought about the children, about their fear, about how they needed someone to be brave for them. His hands steadied. He completed the reroute. Power flooded back into the life support systems. He had done it. Then the panic attack hit. His entire body locked up. He could not move, could not think, could barely breathe. He was trapped in the walls, suffocating, dying. Tae-woo! Captain Minji's voice cut through the panic. You did it! The systems are stable. Now you need to back out. Can you hear me? Tae-woo! It took 3 crew members to pull him out of the shaft. By the time they freed him, he was hyperventilating and non-responsive. They sedated him immediately, but the children were breathing. The life support would hold long enough for full evacuation. In another section of the dying ship, a pregnant Krell female named Vesh was going into premature labor. The stress, the fear, the thin atmosphere had triggered contractions. Her mate had died in the initial disaster. She was alone and terrified. The human medical officer, a woman named Borum, found her. Borum had never delivered a Krell baby. She had read about it, studied the theory, but theory and practice were very different things. I am here to help, Borum said in careful Krell. My name is Borum. I am a doctor. Tell me what you need. Vesh's eyes were wide with pain and fear. My baby is coming too early. She will die. I will die. Leave me. Save someone who can be saved. Absolutely not, Borum said firmly. She opened a communication channel. Medical Bay, I need Dr. Park. Emergency Krell delivery. I need guidance now. From the Celestial Harmony, Dr. Jiwon Park's voice came through, calm and steady. I am here, Borum. Walk me through what you are seeing. For the next 20 minutes, Jiwon guided Borum through an emergency delivery under the worst possible conditions. The ship was falling apart around them. Atmosphere was failing. They had no proper equipment, but they had determination, and they had each other. When complications arose, when the baby's position made normal delivery impossible, Jiwon made a decision. I am coming to you. Keep her stable. I will be there in minutes. Ambassador Hyon tried to stop her. Jiwon, no. You cannot fly a shuttle through that debris field alone. It is suicide. Jiwon was already in the shuttle bay. A mother and baby need help. I am a doctor. I go. She launched into space, piloting through the deadly debris field with skill that surprised her. She had never been a great pilot. Fear should have paralyzed her. But somewhere in that dying ship was a mother and baby who needed her, and that was all that mattered. She docked and ran to where Vesh labored. Borum had done well, but they needed expertise now. Jiwon took over, working with calm efficiency. The baby was born 45 seconds before total life support failure. She was small, premature, struggling to breathe. Jiwon cleared her airways, stimulated her breathing, wrapped her in thermal blankets. The infant Krell cried. It was the most beautiful sound in the universe. Vesh, exhausted and in pain, looked at Jiwon with tears streaming down her scaled face. Why? She asked. Why risk your life for us? We Krell have treated humans with contempt. We have called you weak. We have mocked your compassion. Why help us? Jiwon looked genuinely confused by the question. She had just risked death to deliver a baby, and she could not understand why anyone would think this was remarkable. Because you needed help, she said simply. You and your baby. What other reason would I need? The final evacuations happened with minutes to spare. Every person aboard the Wanderer's Hope was transferred to rescue vessels. Not one was left behind. Not one was abandoned as too difficult to save. When the Wanderer's Hope finally exploded, it was empty except for memories. In the Galactic Council chambers, species that had been calculating costs and benefits watched the humans work. They saw exhausted rescue workers crying with relief when they saved someone. They saw medical staff working past the point of collapse. They saw ordinary people doing extraordinary things simply because someone needed help. The crystalline Lumina representative spoke, its light pulses translated to words. We do not understand. Humans gain nothing from this rescue. Many of those saved were Krell who have been hostile to humans. Some were Lumina who have treated humans with suspicion. Why expend resources, risk lives, for species who give you nothing in return? Counselor Minho's response was quiet, but firm. Because they needed help. Because we could help. Because we are human and this is what humans do. We do not calculate whether someone deserves rescue. We do not weigh the political benefits. We see suffering and we move toward it. We cannot do otherwise. He looked around the chamber at the assembled species. You keep asking why we help. You keep searching for hidden motives, for strategic advantages, for logical explanations. But there is no hidden meaning. We help because we are built to help. Millions of years ago, our ancestors who helped each other survived. Those who did not died out, could not walk past someone in need. He gestured to the screen showing the rescue operation. You call this irrational. We call it human. In the medical bay of the bright harbor, Vesh held her newborn daughter. The baby was stable now, breathing well, her small body wrapped in human blankets bearing the emblem of Earth. Jiwon checked the infant's vitals one more time, then smiled. She is perfect, strong and healthy. She will thrive. What is your naming custom? Vesh asked suddenly. How do humans name their young? We often name them after people we admire, Jiwon explained. Family members, heroes, people who made a difference. Vesh looked down at her daughter. Then I will name her in your style, Her name will be Jiwon, so she always remembers the human who gave her life. Dr. Jiwon Park stared at the Krell mother, completely overwhelmed. She had not expected this. 6 months after the rescue, the galaxy had changed in ways both subtle and profound. Ambassador Hyon stood in the observation deck of the Celestial Harmony, watching ships from 40 different civilizations dock at Threshold Station. They were here for the historic vote on what humans had begun calling the Compassion Accords. Behind him, Dr. Jiwon Park sat with young Krish. The Krell cub was taller now, his scales hardening into their adult pattern, but he still leaned against Jiwon like a child seeking comfort. In her arms, Jiwon held baby Jiwon, the Krell infant named in her honor. Fesh had asked her to watch the child during the council session. "Are you nervous, Pack Mother?" Krish asked. "A little," Jiwon admitted. "This vote will decide much about the galaxy's future." "Because of what you did," Krish said proudly. "Because you showed everyone that caring is not weakness." Jiwon smiled but said nothing. She still did not fully understand why her actions were considered so extraordinary. To her, they were simply obvious. You saw someone hurting, you helped them. What else would you do? In the council chambers, Chancellor Sung-ho prepared for the most important speech of his career. He was young for a diplomat, barely 40, but he had been chosen specifically for this role. He understood the cultural shifts happening across the galaxy. He had watched younger generations of alien species questioning their own society's values. The chamber filled. Representatives from 73 civilizations took their positions. This was the largest gathering in Galactic Council history. Chancellor Sung-ho began. 6 months ago, a human doctor treated a Krell child who had bitten her. She cleaned the child's fangs before her own wounds. This single act has been viewed billions of times across the galaxy. Many of you have asked us to explain it, to justify it, to help you understand what kind of species would do such a thing. He paused, looking around the chamber. We are a species that evolved in a harsh world, surrounded by predators stronger and faster than us. We should have gone extinct. By every logical calculation, we should not exist, but we do. And the reason we survived is the same reason Dr. Park treated that child first. He activated a display showing human history. We survived because we helped each other, because we protected the weak, because we shared resources, because we could not leave anyone behind. This was not a choice or a philosophy. It was our survival mechanism, and over millions of years it became who we are. A Krell elder spoke, his voice respectful but challenging. But humans are not the only social species. Many of us work together. What makes human cooperation different? The scale, Sung-ho replied. Most species cooperate with kin, with tribe, with those who can reciprocate. Humans cooperate with everyone. We extend help to strangers, to enemies, to species we have never met. We have an instinct to reduce suffering wherever we find it. The Hive Queen Talek spoke next. We have studied your proposal for compassion accords. You ask us to commit resources to help those who cannot help us in return. You ask us to protect refugees who are not our species. You ask us to treat enemies with dignity. This is not logical. You are correct, Sung-ho agreed. It is not logical. It is moral. And that is different, he pulled up more images. Humans building hospitals on alien worlds. Human volunteers teaching in refugee camps. Human scientists sharing medical discoveries freely instead of selling them. For thousands of years, this galaxy has operated on logic and calculation. Every species has pursued its own interests. Every civilization has protected itself first. And what has this created? A galaxy where the strong dominate, where the weak suffer, where everyone is alone. His voice grew stronger. We offer something different, not because we are better than you, not because we are wiser, but because we cannot function any other way. We are asking you to try compassion not as weakness but as strength, to see if caring for each other makes us all stronger. Commander Dakir rose to speak. His presence caused a stir. He was known as a traditional Krell warrior, a proud defender of the old ways. I came to Earth 6 months ago, Dakir said, his voice carrying weight and authority. I came to prove that humans were weak prey species who had stumbled into space through luck. I was going to document their failures, their naivety, their exploitable softness. He paused. Instead, I learned that I was wrong about everything. I watched humans risk their lives for strangers. I saw them work past exhaustion to help people who had treated them with contempt. I observed them crying with joy when they saved someone they did not know. His scales rippled with emotion. And I realized that Krell, civilization has been strong for thousands of years, but we have never been happy. We have never known peace. We have never felt the security that comes from knowing others will help you not because they must, but because they want to. Humans have this, and they are offering to share it. He looked directly at the Krell High Council representatives. I say we should accept. I say we should learn. I say that true strength includes the courage to be kind. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species supported the Accords immediately. Others were skeptical. Some were openly hostile, seeing human compassion as a threat to the existing galactic order. Young Kresh, watching the proceedings on a monitor, turned to Jiwan. Will they vote yes, Pack-Mother? I do not know, Jiwan admitted. Change is frightening. What we are asking them to do goes against millions of years of their evolution. It is hard, but you do it, Kresh said. You do it every day. You make it look easy, Jiwan laughed softly. It is not easy, little one. There are days I am exhausted, days I am frustrated, days I wonder if I am making any difference. But then I remember you. I remember how scared you were, how much pain you were in. And I remember that helping you was the only choice that made sense. Baby Jiwan made a small sound in her sleep. Jiwan adjusted the blanket around her. This little one will grow up in a galaxy that might be different, Jiwan said quietly. Because of what happened. Because people saw that there is another way to live. That is worth the exhaustion. In the council chambers, the debate continued for hours. Species shared their concerns, their hopes, their fears. Slowly, a consensus began to form. The Hive Queen Talek spoke again. We have analyzed human society extensively. We have studied your history, your culture, your instincts, and we have concluded something that troubles us. The chamber quieted. You should not exist, Talek continued. Your compassion should have been exploited. Your willingness to help should have made you victims. Your tendency to protect the weak should have weakened you. By all evolutionary models, humans should have gone extinct long ago. She paused, her translator rendering her next words with unusual emphasis. But you did not go extinct. You thrived. You grew strong. You reached the stars, and we finally understand why. Your compassion is not separate from your strength. It is your strength. You are strong because you care. You are successful because you cooperate. You dominate your world because you help each other. Talex's voice softened. Perhaps we have been calculating wrong. Perhaps we have optimized for the wrong variables. Perhaps a galaxy where we care for each other is stronger than a galaxy where we only care for ourselves. We do not know, but we are willing to find out. The vote was called. Species after species voted yes. Not all of them. Not even most of them. But enough. The Compassion Accords passed with 61% approval. The galaxy would try something new. 3 weeks later, the first test of the Accords came. A crystalline Lumina colony suffered a plague outbreak. The Lumina were notoriously xenophobic, had voted against the Accords, and had specifically stated they did not want human help. But when the death toll began to climb, when their own medical science could not find a solution, they had no choice. They sent a distress signal. Jiwan assembled her team immediately. This will be difficult, she told them. They do not trust us. They do not like us. They will resist our help every step of the way, but they are dying and we can help. That is all that matters. The mission was exactly as difficult as she predicted. The Lumina watched them constantly, suspicious of every action. They questioned every Jiwan and her team worked anyway. They studied Lumina physiology, something humans had never done before. They experimented with treatments. They failed. They tried again. They worked for 72 hours without sleep. When they finally developed a treatment that worked, when the Lumina death toll stopped climbing, the Lumina Council demanded a meeting with Jiwan. We do not understand, the senior Lumina said. Its crystalline structure pulsing with confusion. We treated you with suspicion. We questioned your motives. We made your work harder at every turn. Yet you saved us. Why? Jiwan looked at the Lumina and her response was tired and honest. Because you were dying and I am a doctor. What other reason would I need? The Lumina was silent for a long moment. Then it said something that shocked everyone present. We were wrong about humans. We were wrong about compassion. We were wrong about what strength means. We wish to join the Compassion Accords. News of the Lumina's change spread quickly. Other skeptical species began to reconsider. The Accords gained new signatories. Slowly, carefully, the galaxy began to change. 1 year after Jiwan cleaned the Krell cub's fangs, she was back in her medical bay on the Celestial Harmony. She was treating a minor injury on a young alien from a species she had never